Hey everyone, my name's Addison. I'm 26 years old. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I've always been interested in investing and starting my own business and finding passive income opportunities to help provide for my family. And I think I may have just found something, maybe. I first want to explain to you guys, I'm only able to film this video in my basement because my daughter is currently sleeping right now. And this is the only quiet place that I can do this. So bear with me. I know it's just a basement, but it's the best I've got. Before I say, I'd like to start to say in no way am I a professional investor or a seasoned business owner at that. I'm very new to this. This is my first time doing any of this. But I hope that eventually you'll be able to learn from my mistakes and hopefully some of my successes. I hope that no one watching this video takes my words blindly. They don't take it as straight advice. I encourage you to go do research on your own. And if anything, I'll try and steer away from giving advice and just stick to providing insight into my experience and what I'm going through currently. I'm starting this channel to try and help solve a problem that I came across while doing some research earlier this year. I was looking into new passive income opportunities, and in January of this year, 2023, I saw a Facebook ad pop up that said passive trucking, and it piqued my interest. I thought it was something I'd never heard of, and I'm always interested in learning new things, new avenues. I think I've just kind of seen the same old way that we typically invest. It takes a lot of time to make money in traditional investments, and I'm trying to help provide for my family now, so I'm looking for something a little bit quicker turnaround. I'd never seen anything like this, so I won't mention who the company was or who I spoke to, but I signed up for an info call, got on the phone with them a couple days later, and their pitch was great. It sounded great. Essentially, I would need to start a business. They would help me find a semi-truck. They would help me set it up, get everything licensed, insured, handle all the paperwork. And then once it was set up, they would operate it. They would find loads. They would find drivers. They would maintain the truck. Essentially, it's hands off for me. And it sounded awesome. It sounded genius, honestly. And the more I thought about it, it started to sound a little too good to be true. So I started to look into this company some more. I hadn't heard of them before, so I wanted to do my research. And the more I looked, the more yellow flags I found. The website was very simple. I would even say borderline crudely put together. There were spelling errors. It was very simple. It was a landing page with a phone number and sign up for a call, and that was about it. There was little to no other information out there. There was some press release articles, sort of like the business owner putting himself out there saying, hey, we're starting up, here's how great we are. But there was nothing I could find that was third party and it had any information about like the actual performance of these trucks, the performance of the investment. And I could not find anyone that was participating in the opportunity, and that sketched me out a little bit. But the more I searched, I realized that the more I searched, I realized that the company was not alone in its endeavor to use trucking as a source of passive income for investors. There are a handful of companies out there that offer, I think the industry calls it trucking automation, and that's what I'll refer to it from now on, trucking automation. I'm just gonna stick to common terms to limit confusion. So yeah, in some of these companies, I want to say 5 or 6 that I know of. But some seem to be a little bit more legit than others, and I'll let you take a look for yourselves. Just purely based on the websites, you can get a feel for that. and I'll leave some links in the description, and you can sort of see them all side by side, and you can take a look for yourself to, judge for yourselves. But yeah, just from my research, my general takes on all this stuff, I did a lot of research, and yeah, some takeaways that I got from passive trucking or trucking automation. All of these companies are super young. I think I started digging into, business formation documents, looking in the Department of State for where these businesses are located, and most of them started in the 2019, 2020-ish arena. And so the concept of this is still so new, which helped me understand why there may not be a lot of content out there of people actually, going out and speaking about their experiences. But again, it's just another yellow flag for me, and it was a little concerning. I think across the board, some websites were better than others, but they all gave me a general sketchy feeling. Not to say that the website is reflective of the product that they have. I think, because these businesses are so new, because it's not I wouldn't say a blue chip investment opportunity, they are putting more effort into operations, I would say, than worrying about a website, and that's fair. But as someone that has never seen anything like this, the website is my first touch point, and to say the least, it was not confidence inspiring. So I had to learn to look past that a little bit, and just start talking to people, talking to the businesses themselves, and that's where I sort of got my true feeling on them. So another commonality between all these automation companies, they all depend on an existing trucking company. So I'll refer to them now as the automation company, which is who the investor deals with, and then there's the trucking company, who is partnered with the automation company to provide the opportunity. Some automation companies partner with a single trucking company. Other automation companies partner with a network of trucking companies to provide the volume, or the supposed volume of trucks that they have on the road, and to supply the volume, for their volume of investors. Next point being, there's little to no, I said this a little bit before, but there's little to no investor testimony out there. Some of the websites had some quotes from people that have supposedly invested, saying how wonderful they are to work with, how excited they are, but there was no independent reviews out there. Like on Reddit, you're always going to see people hating on stuff like this because nobody's willing to try. But I couldn't see anybody that had willingly tried this and put their money to work in this and had a good experience. I couldn't see that. Not to say it's not happening, but I didn't see it online. And I couldn't find anyone. I mean, I digged on LinkedIn, I digged on Google reviews. I started finding the people that left a Google review, and then found them on some other social media, tried to message them, and even that was, it wasn't fruitful. I couldn't find anything solid, concrete. So yeah, just across the board, it's hard to find people putting themselves out there that are sharing a good experience in this field of investing, and it was another yellow flag for me, another point of caution as I walked into this. In my research, I learned a lot. I learned so much about trucking, about the automation companies, and I learned what sets them apart, what not necessarily, I mean, I can't say which one's better. It's so new, I don't think anybody could tell you which one's better. Some are more expensive, some are, the pricing is different, but they all generally sort of carry the same structure to how things work. But what sets them apart? The trucking company, not the automation company. The trucking company is the key part of the whole thing. They're the ones that are going to operate the truck. They're going to keep a driver in the seat. They're going to find loads. They should be finding loads that pay well, and they're going to maintain your truck. And for those of you that don't know, maintaining a semi truck is very expensive, and if it's not maintained properly, it can be a nightmare. So you're placing responsibility with the trucking company, not with the automation company. And a lot of the trucking companies, as I talked with the automation company, I learned a lot about their partner trucking company, and that's where most of my questions revolved around. I learned about what kind of revenue they're bringing in. I learned about how their maintenance schedule, how their maintenance program is set up. I learned about how they dispatch, who's dispatching, how many dispatchers are, how many trucks are under a certain dispatcher. I tried my best to learn the ins and outs of the trucking company, and that's what differentiated one company from another. And I think the biggest factor is going to be your gross revenue of the truck. And so there's two ways to make money in trucking. You can go out on a load board and basically bid for loads. It's kind of like Uber for trucks. Like someone needs a load moved, and you accept it. You agree on a price. Usually it's sort of like the lowest bidder wins, which is it makes it very competitive. But in certain markets, it can be pretty lucrative. Other companies, their business is dependent on contracts, guaranteed rates, usually a regular schedule, and those don't fluctuate with the market as much, but they're reliable, and that's sort of the two different avenues of revenue for trucking companies. You have load boards where you're just you're picking up loads on the fly and figuring out where to go next, or you have contracts, which offers sort of consistent and dependable revenue. So another huge factor that set these companies apart was the transparency to the investor. I talked to several companies, and I really only went in depth with two of them. I won't mention who they are now. That'll be for later on. But I will say transparency was the biggest factor for me. The first company that we were super interested in, they were great. They had us in a face-to-face meeting. They were super kind. They continue to be super kind, and they were wonderful to work with. But I wanted to learn more about trucking. As an investor, I want to understand how money is made. I want to understand how they make money. They're not the automation company and the trucking companies. They're not here to give me a free handout. They want to make money off of me as much as I want to make money off of them. Like it needs to be both ways. And I tried my best to ask questions about basic questions, considering the fact that we're handing over, depending on which option you choose, $40,000 to $100,000. You're handing them a lot of money, and you should understand where that money's going, and you should understand how that money is going to be made back. And I questioned them and had conversations with them for months. And every time I asked a operational question, it was answered hesitantly. It was answered in a way that made me feel no one had ever asked those questions before, and they weren't used to answering them. Which is it's not bad. I mean, if they're used to getting money thrown at them without questions asked, that's fine. But for me, I feel like a competent business should be able to clearly articulate what the motives are, how money is made, how their trucks are taken care of, and how the investors are gonna be transparently communicated with. And as many questions as I asked with them, I couldn't understand how their business was structured. I couldn't understand their motives. I never got the big picture view of, here's the long-term goal of how we want to expand. It didn't make sense. I didn't know the numbers didn't line up. I do some scratch notes, and they're bringing in this much revenue, I'm getting this much, they're getting this much. Things just didn't match up. And the more and more I talked to them, I realized what they had out there in terms of marketing on YouTube and Instagram and their website. It wasn't. I won't say that they were being untruthful, but I would just say that the picture was not clear based on their marketing, and it wasn't quite the same. And then, so I did months of just purely conversing with them. And then it comes down to the contract. I get a contract, and again, I'm new to this. I want to know the ins and outs. I read the contract line for line, and it is riddled. It's riddled with self-protection clauses, and basically any form of liability that can be shed, they shed it. They wanted no form of liability in the operation of this truck, and it didn't make sense to me. It's I'm buying an asset and you're managing it, and you don't take fiduciary responsibility for that. It just, the fact that it was like that from the get-go didn't make sense, and it did not make me trust them. And in further conversation, they were willing to work with me on the contract, and I was, if I had desired to make red lines and changes to that contract, they probably would have worked with me. But the fact that it wasn't comfortable to begin with, it didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right. On the other hand, the company that we eventually did end up partnering with, they were super transparent. They were super honest. And I asked pretty much the same questions that I asked to the other company, and it was clear as day. They made me understand the big picture. They made me understand what their motives were. They were upfront. They're here to make money as well, and they made me understand why investors were needed. They made me understand why investors were needed, and they made me understand just how the business made sense. And that being said, the other sort of second level of transparency was, the trucking partner is a part of the conversation. The owner of the trucking company, not the automation company, the trucking company, is there having conversations with you. He's putting his brand, his company logo out there to see, and it really said something about the confidence that they had in what they were offering. I was able to ask questions about their financials, their gross revenue, their bottom line. I wasn't given like a tax return, but they were able to disclose so much more than I had been previously dealing with. All the nitty-gritty questions were not hesitantly answered. They were quickly, honestly, and openly answered. And again, when it comes down to the contract, I get the contract, and all of the yellow flags that I found in that first contract were not there. There wasn't loopholes of liability shedding and protections for the automation company. This was a clear cut. Anybody could come off the street, read this contract, and understand this is a basic, straightforward agreement. And it made me feel that the trucking company and the automation company that we partnered with were confident in their product. They're confident to fulfill the obligations that this contract is setting out. And it made me feel a lot better. So yeah, there's just two different levels of companies. All right, so who did we invest with? To be honest, I'm not going to disclose that right now. Not because I'm afraid to, not because I'm under sort of some contractual agreement to keep my mouth shut. I want to be able to provide you guys information systematically, and yeah, I will be sharing that, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But what I would like to say is, once we did sign our contract, our truck was on the road in 15 days, 2 weeks. We signed middle of March, and our truck hit the road April 1st. Started producing revenue for me and my family April 1st. April 1st, 2023. So in theory, for the contract, we should be getting our first payment between May 1st and May 15th. So when that day comes, I'll be making another video update, and I will show you my bank statement. And whatever ends up in it, if anything ends up coming in, you guys will know about it, you know. So at this point, I do feel confident. I've been made to feel confident in our investment. I have done, you know, I didn't rely on purely our partners. You know, when I say our partners, I mean the automation company and trucking company that we signed a contract with. Those partners, you know, they made me feel comfortable, but it wasn't just their words alone that make me feel that way. I did a lot of background research on the business of trucking and, you know, generally what the pain points are. In knowing the pain points and knowing the pitfalls of that industry, in understanding how these companies in particular help navigate through those. I'm confident in where they are. I'm confident that they will be able to produce revenue and income for me that they've advertised. And I haven't been paid yet. I paid a lot of money to them, and I haven't been paid yet. And I'm nervous. You know, it's like putting money in any stock or something like that, where you know, no matter how much research you do, it can go either way. So there's some nervousness. I will be honest. And yeah, I don't want to go. It's another part of why I don't want to go out saying who we invested with, because it could go poorly. And I don't want it to exactly blow up on them. And, you know, if I lose money, if this is a total scam, like, you guys will know, and I will show you. And at that point, I will tell you who the company is. But yeah, there's uncertainty in it. There's uncertainty in any investment. But I made this channel for that. I want you guys to walk through this experience with me, because no one else out there is showing this stuff. No one else out there is giving you transparency. I don't know if that's out of laziness or out of they don't want to show you if they're losing money. They don't want to show you if they're making money. I don't care about that. I want people to see and be affirmed if this is a great investment, and I want people to be cautioned if this doesn't go well for me. It's a form of accountability for these companies. The fact that, like, you know, I hope that because I'm not afraid to put myself out there, that they'll somewhat be held accountable to what they're advertising. And, you know, maybe if it does go well, this will be a great advertisement for them, you know, to show that, hey, it's real. Like, you know, it could be helpful or detrimental to them, but ultimately it's about the potential investor. I want a potential investor to see this video and say, wow, there's another real human being out there doing that, and putting their neck out there, you know, trying something new. All right, so yeah, I didn't go in depth. I didn't go in the weeds really into much in this video. This is my first video. And so I wanted this to be a basic introduction of me, a basic introduction to trucking automation, and ultimately just an introduction to my experience in going on this journey. And so, yeah, for you, the viewers, if you have questions, please post them in the comments, and I'm going to do my best to formulate new videos based on those questions. And in the meantime, like, go do research on your own. Go check out the websites that I'm going to put in the description. Go look into trucking and see how it works. You know, your own knowledge is going to end up being the most valuable thing for you, no matter how much I share. Yeah, I've already got a list of sort of future videos that I want to put out there, and I plan on doing, you know, these payments are supposed to come out to be monthly. I plan on making a video at least monthly showing how much my truck made on any given month, and you guys will be along for the journey with me. I also plan to explain, because some of the hardest questions that I wanted to get answered were just how trucking works in general. That's a multifaceted question, but also how these trucking companies are making money with investors like me, and what incentivizes them to do this. You know, it's so new, it hasn't been around for a long time, and it makes you ask, why is this even happening? Why is it happening? Why is it advantageous to me? Why is it advantageous to a trucking company? So yeah, that's it for now. Yeah, if you're interested in seeing my update in May or learning any more from me, you know, I'm no expert, but I'm here, I'm in the process, I'm doing it. So yeah, if you want to see more, subscribe, and you'll get notified when I post in the future. Otherwise, yeah, comment your thoughts and questions below, and I'll do my best to get back to you guys and formulate new videos based on those questions. Honestly, I think most people will probably look at me like I'm an idiot. You know, having no proof that this stuff is real, you went and threw money at this. You could be right. I could be an idiot, but yeah, you'd probably think I'm crazy. But hopefully, as we go along here, the results will prove otherwise. I hope people will be pleasantly surprised. Otherwise, you'll have a staunch warning from my screw up that trucking automation is a scam, but I don't think it is. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.